We will today start from the beginning of the Perek. Yes, there are, for some reason, I seem to have skipped out one or two lines, and there are a few things which are incorrect, so I want to redo the Mishnah again. So we'll be starting again from the end of Daf Chav Vav Amud Beis. Okay. Bakoil ma'arvin mishtatfin chutz min hamayim hamelach. That for ma'arvin is, according to Rashi, is the Lashon Rabbim. Well, maybe not. Maybe that's not the diuk. But Cholif and Rashi explains that ma'arvin means both types of eruv, both the eruv tchumen and eruv chetzeres. So you can use any type of food you can use for those for eruv tchumen and eruv chetzeres, and similarly also mishtatfin. Mishtatfin means the food which you use to make the eruv for a mavui. So if you have a street, then you have to have besides the eruv which you have between a number of houses which live in the same chotzer. When you have a mavui, you want to be able to carry the mavui, so that all the chetzeres have to make another eruv and put it in one of the chetzeres. So, and they do that by putting food in one chotzer, or when it comes to Eruvin in one of the houses, or when it comes to Eruv Tchumen, you put it at where you want to extend your limit of walking. So you put an Eruv at if you want to extend the limit which you're able to walk in the city. So you put the Eruv, which is the food, you put that at the whatever distance up till a distance of 2,000 amas from the city, which is the maximum, and then the place where you put the food, that is considered the place where you're staying on Shabbos. So therefore, the calculation of the limits of your walking distance will be based. The center will be where you put that food, and not the city which you slept there. So you can use all types of food. Places, the other Rishonim argue and they say that it's only a eruv tchumen you can use all types of food. For eruv chetzeres you have to use bread. But b'chol, so you can, for all these things you can use all types of food except water and salt. The reason being because for the eruv you have to have food which satisfies you. It has to, water and salt don't satisfy you, even for that you don't feel a bit full, even for a short span of time. It doesn't fill you up. And so therefore, since that, so the food has to be something which is a bit filling, and since water and salt are not filling, therefore it doesn't qualify to use the eruv or shituf mevois. Then it says, "V'koil nikach b'kesev maaser chutz min hamayim u'min hamelach." When you want to have maaser sheni, and which you don't want to take your shleim, and you exchange the maaser sheni, the value of the maaser sheni, you exchange it for money, and the money you take to your shleim there, and with which you'll buy food to eat in your shleim. So the money can only be used to buy proper food, and you cannot use the money to pay for salter or salt or water in Yerushalayim. And that we will learn in the Gemara further. We learn from the pasuk from Akala Pratiklau that which things you can use to which things you can buy with the money of Maaser Sheni in Yerushalayim. Then somebody says he makes a neder that he won't have anoah from any food, from any satisfying food. So if you use the word midat zayin, something which satisfies, masbia. So if he says he won't have anoah for any satisfying food, so then he is allowed to have water and salt, because water and salt is not satisfying food. Ba'arvin l'nozir b'yayin, l'Yisrael b'truma. Now the principle of the eruv tchumen, the principle of the eruv tchumen is that you put the food where is the center of where you're living. So if you decide, say for instance, 2,000 cubic amas outside the city, that's where you put the food, because that's where you're living, and the walking distance is based from that center. So now, so if it's where you're living, and where do you live? And you live where the food is. That's the point. You don't have to sleep there. You have to put your food there, because the main living of the person is where his food is. Okay. So if that's the case, so then a nozir, you can't drink wine. So can you use an eruv for nozir? Can you make wine? Can wine be part of the eruv? Because the nozir can't drink wine. Or can you use for a regular yid who's not a kohen? Can you make the eruv of truma, because he can't eat truma? And so the Tanna Kama says that you can. Why? Because since this whole thing of Erev is only midrabanan, since it's only midrabanan, so since it is normal foods, even though but in practice, this person cannot eat it. The Tanna Kama says doesn't matter that in practice the person can't eat it, because as long as it's food which is right to eat for some people, so that's going to be good enough to put there. So therefore it's more symbolic than the actual food, which anyway it's more symbolic, because if a pale, you don't have to eat the eruv. You don't have to eat the eruv. You can eat the rest of it. So therefore, so the rabbanon. So there's the makla, and you can do that. But what's the principle? Since it's right to eat, even if he personally cannot eat it, then it's okay to use as an eruv. Sumchus disagrees with that. Sumchus Eimer bechulin. No, you can only use chulin. Israel can't make truma, because the truma you can't the truma you can't eat it. You got to actually be able to eat it. You don't have to eat it, but you have to be able to eat it. And so for Nazir, he doesn't argue about Nazir. He only argues about the Israel. You can't use truma, because a Nazir, he can be matin neder. So the Nazir will be matin neder. So then he will be able to drink the wine. So therefore, there's a potential of him being able to use it, because matin neder. But whereas the Israel, even if he'll be matin neder that he made it truma, because he made it truma, it be matin neder on truma, but it comes back tevel. So again, you can't eat. So therefore, therefore the Israel the potential is not there, and therefore the Sumcha says that the person has to be able to eat it, and that's why you can only make an eruv from chulin. Now, if we're talking about being able to eat it, so that means you have to be able to get there as well. You have to be able to get there to eat it. So so therefore, for instance, if a person is a kohen, and you put the eruv in a place where the kohen cannot walk there, if you put it in a place where the kohen cannot walk there, so then it's not a good eruv. So let's see what it says over here. It says, "Ul kohen bebeis pras." That you can put the eruv from a kohen, you can put in the beis pras. What's the beis pras? Beis pras, that is a place where there was a caver, and it's there for quite a while, and then it's been plowed over. So the area has been plowed over. Now, but in an area where the area has been plowed over, so what's so you don't know where the caver is, and it may be that when they did the plowing, parts of the mess got moved around. So therefore, the whole area of the Beis HaPras is a chashash that maybe there's a bit of the mess there. And the truth of the matter is that the bit of the mess, since it's quite a while, so it's only bones that we're worried about. We're not worried about the meat of the mess. It's probably already decomposed, and we're worried about the bones of the mess. So the Beis HaPras, where there was a kever, and the area has been plowed over. So you worry about the whole area which is around the kever, the whole area which is around the kever. You worry maybe that place where the kever was plowed over, and it drew it, and some bones of it were drawn away to other places by the plowing. So that Beis HaPras is midrabanan, it's a sofik midrabanan. So since it's only a Tomei midrabanan, so it's Tomei midrabanan. So then you can put for the kohen, you can put the even a kohen which is not allowed to become tamei. A kohen is not allowed to become tamei. So you can put for him the eruv even in the base of pras. Why can you put in the base of pras? The kohen can't get to it because that since be'emes the kohen is able to get to it. He's able to get to it because if he checks the base of pras, checking for any small bones, there's a system how you check it. So if he could actually check the base of pras and make sure that he's not stepping on any bones. If he checks the base of pras, and so then the chachomim they allow him to do that checking. Since the whole issur is only midrabanan, they allow him to do that check. They allow him to do that checking, and for the purpose of the mitzvah of eruv, and so therefore, so that means the kohen is able to get that. So the principle being is that kohen is able to get that because he's able, because it's only midrabanan. This tumah is able to check it, and as it goes along, and therefore for the purpose of the mitzvah, and therefore he is considered that it's able to go there. Rabbi Huda says even more. I feel besak ben akvaris that even you put it the food if you put the food in between kvarim, how can the kohen get to it? It's between kvarim. You can't get it. He has to go over the kvarim to get there. So why are you allowed to do that? It says because in theory he says he was able to go there. How's he able to go there? Because you can put the kohen into a wagon which has a base, so it has an oil which is chaytzitz mipnei, and or you can carry him in a I don't know what you call these carry boxes where you put people in and people carry them. So you can put the kohen into this type of box type of situation, and therefore the floor there of the box is an oil which blocks the tumah, and therefore he is able to go there. Is able to go there and eat from the eat from the eruv. The Tanna Kama does not hold that. He doesn't agree with that because the Tanna Kama will hold that if you take if you go in a wagon or these boxes which you carry, that they are not chaytzis b'nei, since it's a moving oil. It's a moving oil. It's not chaytzis b'nei. So therefore, the Tanna Kama says that he's not able to get that because that type of transportation is not considered an oil. A more modern way of saying that would be that you can drive there with a car. Then that's a simple solution. So the floor of the car is like an oil. If it's high enough, probably high enough. Anyway. So is it that would be machlokes if that's considered an oil, or the floor of the car if it's not considered an oil? Provided. Okay. Omer Rabbi Yochanan said, it says, but you use everything for an eruv. So it says Rabbi Yochanan, you cannot learn from a klal, even in a place where it says a klal. It says stam klal, the Mishnah, klal, this klal omru, they said a klal for sure. There's going to be exceptions to the klal. Even though it says a klal, there could be exceptions to the klal. Even when the Mishnah enumerates, and it says chutz, and then it lists you a list of exceptions. So you might think, since the Mishnah already gives you a list of exceptions, that means that these are the only exceptions. So Rabbi Yochanan says, I feel even in not only when it doesn't say chutz, but even in a place where it does say chutz, even then there could be more exceptions which are not mentioned in the Mishnah. So now the Gemara is analyzing some of the words of Rabbi Yochanan. Since Rabbi Yochanan uses language that even in a place which says chutz, miklaus, it must be that the original statement of Rabbi Yochanan was said in a place on a Mishnah which doesn't say chutz, because he was saying you don't remember the klal. There's exceptions. Then he said not only here, but even in those places which says chutz. That was the place which he originally made the statement on was not based on a place. Was not a Mishnah which said chutz. So heichi koi. So what did he make the statement of? Which Mishnah did he make his statement? The Gemara says Hosam koi. The Mishnah which Rabbi Yochanan made his statement was the following Mishnah. It says in the Mishnah in Kedushin, Kol mitzvahs eser shazman groma. Every mitzvah which is time dependent. Anoshim chayovim. Men are chayav. Anoshim pturis. We know that there's mitzvah eser shazman groma. Anoshim pturis. Ushaloi hazman groma. If it's not time dependent, mitzvah. If it's not time dependent, is echad anoshim chayav. So both men and women are chayav. Now, so there's a question over there. Ukololohu, is that the correct cloud? If the kol mitzvah eser shazman groma anoshim pturis. Hooray! Is that correct cloud? We find that matzah, that eat the mitzvah of eating matzah on the first night, which is a mitzvah sake to eat matzah on the first night, or simcha, the mitzvah of samachta b'chagecha, and which is also time dependent. It's on the yom tov. It's time dependent. The hakel, which is once in 7 years, the mitzvah says man grama who, which is the mitzvah says man grama, but noshim chayavos, and women are chayav in matzah because the mitzvah of matzah is anybody. If you learn from psukim, that anybody who is not permitted to eat chametz has the mitzvah of the erev feichel matzahs. And also simcha, because it says the beischa, you should be samech and beischa. Use the word beischa, means the family. And Bahakil, it's specific, it explicitly mentions the women that are there in Bahakil. So the kitzah, so you see by all those mitzvahs, which is time dependent, and Noshim Chayovas. That's one question. Also, the second part of the cloud, Noshim Chayovas, what do you say before? That all the mitzvahs say which are not time dependent. Noshim are obligated. Hare Talmud Torah learning Torah, which Noshim are not obligated because it says so and not your daughters. Pirivia, because the Pirivia, which is also which is not time dependent, and it says the pasuk that says the kivshor, kivshor. So the kivshor. So the kivshor. From that we learn out that it's for those people who are kovish, who are and the woman is not kovish. She doesn't go to mulchama. She's not kovish. And so therefore, she's the obligation of the mitzvah of Pirivia is on the man and not the woman. Similarly, also Pidyon Haben, which we also learn from Psukim, that the father, Taka, he is obligated to do the poida his son. The woman is not obligated to poida her son. The mitzvah says man gramo, which is not a mitzvah, which is not time dependent, and the noshim pturis and noshim poda. So you see, yeah. So the question is, how did the Mishnah say the klal when you have so many exceptions? Both in the first part of the klal and the second part of the klal. Hello, Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Yochanan said, that's where Rabbi Yochanan said that you don't learn from a cloud. And the Mishnah says a cloud is that there could still be very many exceptions, and even in such a situation where it says chutz. We learned it in the Mishnah. In other words, this had been a Rabbi Yochanan, that this cloud, Rabbi Yochanan, that there are exceptions, even in a case where there is chutz. So we find it in the Mishnahs. What's this Mishnah? This is the first Mishnah is oid klal acher omru. They said another klal. Kol sheniso agabe hazov tomi. So anything which is placed on top of the zav is tomi. So things which are items which are placed on top of the zav, so they become tomi. We call shehazav nisa olav, and all those things which the zav is carried on it. It means the zav the zav is lying on top of something or standing on top of something or whatever it is. So the zav is on top of something is Torah. We're talking about when you're not touching it. Of course, when the zav touches something, you're Torah. What happens if you put something on top of the zav and the zav is not touching it? So let's say you put a plank of wood on the zav, and on top of the plank of wood, you put other things, or the other way around. The zav is sitting down on a plank of wood on a mattress, and beneath the mattress you have a number of other things. If you have more mattresses which it doesn't touch, It's not. He's not actually touching them. Nevertheless, since the zav it's being carried by the zav, so therefore it's tummy. And the same thing. Sorry, not the same. And the kol shehazav nisa olav. So everything which is on top of the zav is tummy. The kol shehazav nisa olav. Anything which the zav is on top of the item, so then it's toy. So it's toy. Chutz min haroy lemishka u'moshe. So, except if it's things which are, the ha'adam and a person, a thing which is roy for sitting and for standing. So therefore, if, for instance, a zav is lying down on a mattress, that mattress is on top of a few pots which are upside down or whatever, just to make it practical, which are a few pots which are upside down. So if that mattress in a few pots which are upside down, so the pots do not become tummy. Why do not become tummy? Because those pots are people. It's not meant for sitting. Those pots are not meant for sitting. So if it's a mattress top of other mattresses, then it's okay. Or if it's a type of vessel which is so large that sometimes it's used for sitting. So if you have like very large pots, which sometimes the people use it for sitting or with some. So then, if it's that large and there's a whole the Mishnais about this, which things are or not. Which would it's not something that people will say, hey, why are you sitting on it? I need it. It's used as a sitting. So anything which is used as a sitting thing. So if it's underneath the mattresses, even though the person is not touching it, it becomes stomach. But if it's other items, so then which is not used for sitting or for lying down, so then the zav is lying on top of it without touching, like it's on top of the mattress, which is above it. So then it is toher, right? So this list the suleke. So it says that everything is what is tummy. He gave a list. It says chutz, and he gives a list of exceptions. It's toher, except, and it gives a list of exceptions which are tummy. Mishkav, Moishav, and Ha'odam. So the Gemara asks, there is in addition to the list, which is not mentioned in the Mishnah, there is a merkav, which is the saddle. So the Gemara says, what kind of question is this? Hi, merkav, what do you mean the saddle? If he's sitting on it, the part which you sit on, so that's Meishav, but saddle is also something which you sit on. So it's mentioned in the Mishnah. Why do you say it's not mentioned in the Mishnah? So Zanan Hochi Kamrim. He says the question is like this: there is the back of the saddle, whatever it is. It's from Rashi. I understand it's like maybe the front and the back of the saddle, which the person. It's not the part of the saddle which you sit on. It's some sort of addition which you hold on, and that's whilst you're riding. So many times, or you can hold on to it, some wooden piece or something. Rashi gives a name for it. Not sure what it is, but and so you hold on to it. It's not something which you actually sit on, but it is part of the saddle system. So he could. So he says, why does the gav the uch, which is part of the saddle, participates in the saddle system, and that even though it's not a meishav, still it is tomei. How do we know? The Tanya of the Bryce, ha'ukev tomei meishav, v'hatofos. The saddle is Tomei Meshav. Hatofus, that's the part which you hold. That's the Tomei Merkav. So it also becomes Tomei Merkav. So it's Tomei with even though the part which you hold on, when that is considered Merkav, part of the saddle, and because it's part of this, it's considered part of the saddle. Therefore, even it's not actually a Meshav, which is used for sitting. It's not used for sitting. But if that would be under the mattress, which you're lying down on, which the Zav is lying down on, so then he would make it Tomei and make it this strict tumah of tumas medras, which is an ava tumah. So how come it's not mentioned? So we see here. So we see from this Mishnah that even though it said chutz, there's still like one exception which has not been listed. Even it says chutz. Okay, so that was one Mishnah where we showed that it is like Rabbi Eruvin said in his statement. But now we're going to bring another Mishnah. It says the Sha'al Mishnah. It says you can use everything for the Eruv, except for water and salt, which is not really satisfying, and therefore and therefore you can't use that. It's not satisfying by any measure, I should say. It's not satisfying by any measure, and therefore you can't use it for the erev. And so that's what the Mishnah says. And there's no more other things. Well, there are other things which you cannot use for an erev. For instance, k'miyim b'pitris, mushrooms. So mushrooms are also not satisfying, and they're considered not satisfying, and therefore you cannot use that for the erev as well. In reality, there's a whole list of things and different categories of things which also cannot be used. Either they're not satisfying or they're not ready to eat. It has to be food which is ready to eat. The food which is not ready to eat is also that cannot use for the eruv. The kitzur, so there's quite a substantial list of exceptions which is not mentioned in the Mishnah. We don't learn from the cloud, even though it says chutz and it lists some exceptions. You cannot learn from the clothes. That's exactly like the statement of Rabbi. Okay, let's go a bit further in the Gemara. The Mishnah says, the money of Meiser can be spent once you have it, the Meiser Sheni money, which in Yerushalayim, you can buy any type of food except for salt and water. The reason for it we'll learn on the other side of this page. So Chad, one of them, Masnia Eruv, the following statement, which we're going to have in a minute. So one learned the following statement concerning Eruv. Chad Mane Masnia Amaiser. And one of them said that the following statement is applicable to the din of Meiser. So Chad Masnia Eruv, one who learned that it's applicable to the din of Eruv. What do we say by Eruv? We said by Eruv that you cannot use water and salt for the Eruv. It says Lo Yishonu, that we didn't learn that, so we learned that you cannot use for the Eruv. If there's the water is by itself and you have salt by itself, then you not use it for an Eruv. But if you mix in the water and the salt together, so then you have some type of dip. So once you use the water and the salt together, so you have a dip. Came a dip. Now Arvin, you're permitted to use it for the Eruv. And one of these Amarayim, Masnia Meiser, he learned this statement in reference to the part of the Mishnah which speaks about Meiser. Lo Yishana, we didn't learn that we cannot buy with the money of Meiser. You cannot buy in Yerushalayim water and salt. So you cannot the water by itself and salt by itself you cannot buy. That they can't be bought. But the water and salt, if it's mixed together, a mixture, then you are able to buy it with the money of Meiser. Says the Gemara, Man the Master Meiser, the person who says that this statement was said in relevance to the din of Meiser, that if it's mixed salt and water together as a mixture, then you can actually use the Meiser money to buy it. Kolshkana Eruv is for sure. He agrees that it will be effective. You can use it for an Eruv. Man the Masna Eruv, but one who says that the Eruv you can use it if it's mixed water and the salt, because now it's become some type of dip. Aval, but it still will not be able to use it for Meiser, because even though it's become a little bit more foodie of part of the meal, because it's become a dip, so it's sort of part of the food because you use it with bread or whatever it is. So even as it's become part of the food, still he will say for Meiser you cannot use this dip of salt and water. Why? My timer, because as we will learn later in the Gemara, there's perabin. It has to be a fruit, and so therefore it has to be a fruit, and was considered a fruit, and therefore this dip is this amazing dip is not really considered a perab. Okay. So Rabbi Yitzchak, when he came, he said that this cloud, which was learned, came from, they knew from somewhere. So this klal was referring to Maisa. Who said that? Rabbi Yitzchak. So Gemara asked a question. Meisel asked a question. Hey, Rabbi Yehuda ben Godish, hey, Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Yehuda ben Godish testified to Rabbi Lazar that Shalbeis Abba, that his father's the behavior in his father, how you like him, tzir. When they went to Yerushalayim, so they would buy tzir, which is like juice, pickled juice or whatever, so some or from fish, salted fish, the juice of it. So they buy that juice, that tzir, the kesef, ma'aser, with the money of ma'aser, right? So you see that you can opt if it's salty and water, it's mixed with salt and the water, so you can, so they can use the salt and water. You can buy it. You can buy it with kesef ma'aser. This is so the brisa continues. Omar Loi. So the Rabbi Lazar responds, or Rabbi Lazar responds to him and says, "Shema shemaita el shekirit dogim or rovim behem." Yeah, there was still a bit of the insides of the fish some of the insides of the fish was still mixed in there. Yes, he bought some fish juice, but there was a bit of the insides of the fish was still in it. So that's why he was allowed to buy it, but just plain salt water, Then this must be Gemara or something. So the Gemara, maybe it's the price, probably the Gemara. So the price of the Gemara adds, Afil, Rabbi Yehuda ben Godish, and even Rabbi Yehuda ben Godish, who said you can have this salt and water. Loi Kamar, he didn't say it. Ela b'tzir, he used the word tzir, not salt and water. Salt and water is not tzir. So tzir has in it a bit of a shumna de perehi, because he has in it, because he cooked in it the fish or whatever it was. So the thing which you cooked the fish in it, or so that still has in it a bit of the fats of the fish, still some flavor and more flavoring. Even there's no substance of fish. There's no actually parts of the fish, but there is still some of the fats of it is still in that water. But just plain salt water, loy, you cannot use. So therefore, he's questioning how can Rabbi Yitzchak say it. We have this machlokes between the Tanoim, whether you can use tzir, and said even the one who permits tzir, in the end of the day, tzir is not water and salt. Yes, it has a lot of water and salt, but that's it. You cook the fish, let's say, in the water and the salt. But at the end of the day, since you cook the fish in it, it has some of the fats of the fish in it, so therefore it's not just plain water and salt. So how could you say you can use plain water and salt? So from Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yosef's answer that we'll stop over here. That Rabbi Yosef answers that when did Rabbi Yitzchak permit it? That you put some oil in it. So you put a bit of oil in it, that's when he permits. Obviously, we need an explanation. What does it help? So why does it say salt and water? Why is it presented in salt and water? So it's the oil. Okay, it has oil in it. Okay, well, that we'll see tomorrow. I call upon him as of today. So Rabbi Yosef answered that even Rabbi Yitzchak, when he said you can use salt and water, it meant if you have some oil in it.